look at the changes to the lockdown restrictions today. Outdoor gatherings of up to 6 people or of 2 households, which could be more than 6 people, can now resume in England. And outdoor team sports also allowed from today.
Our health editor, Dr. Hilary Jones, and our chief correspondent, Richard Gatesford, are both in the studio to talk us through the new rules. Good morning, Richard. Particularly, we've had Hilary with us, but it's lovely to have you back in the studio. And an important day. It's an important day. We've had it circled on our calendar at home, as I'm sure lots of people have, as the day that finally we can get friends into the garden. Finally, we can meet up with some households, can see our parents. Of course, there is still some confusion, isn't there? It's not quite as simple as we'd like.
No, so the basic rule is groups of 6 if they're from lots of different households. 2 households of any size. So if you have 4 or 5 in your household, someone else has 6 or 7, you can come together in someone's back garden. You can meet outside in the park, the beach. They're asking those 2 groups to stay socially distant where possible. You're only to hug somebody that you are actually living in a household with. But it is a chance to start socialising again in a controlled way, is what they're saying. Now, those household groups, though, that's going to be very difficult to police. We were talking about earlier, you know, some people live in larger families. You've got student flats of up to 20 people. Get 2 of those together, suddenly you get 40 people sat on the beach having a barbecue. How do you know where all those people come from? So big challenges for the police from today.
Yeah. Also, there is, while we lift stay at home, there is a new bit of guidance, which is that you should minimise travel. So if you're not supposed to stay at home anymore and you want to go out and meet friends and family, what counts as minimising travel?
So I think there was the assumption it meant stay local, but when you speak to the Cabinet Office about it, they say they haven't said that. What they're saying is where travel is reasonably necessary. So what does that mean? It basically means that you can go to wherever you think is necessary to see whoever you want to see within the guidelines, but you have to be back by bedtime because you're not allowed to stay away the night at this stage. So you can't go into someone's home, and if you go to someone's back garden, you can pop in to use the loo, but that's it. You can walk through the house to get into the backyard, but you can't stay the night. So wherever you go, whoever you meet, you've got to come back to your own house at the end of the day.
Dr. Hilary, as much as we've all been looking forward to this day, and we've had it in the diary for quite a long time now, how concerned are you about the fact that these restrictions are lifting and people are going to be inclined to want to get together? They're going to be inclined to want to hug?
Sure.
And where are we with infection rates with regards to whether this is the right time to do it?
What have we learnt in the last 15 months? That we've learnt that we've gone into lockdown too late, we've come out of lockdown too early. Those are the lessons we've learnt 3 times. So we need to be really careful. I hope that we don't need the police at all to be enforcing it. It's an impossible job for them. I would hope that people behave responsibly, understanding that this is the sensible way forward. We can't rely on vaccination alone, because unless you vaccinate 90% of the population and you get 90% efficacy with those vaccines, you've still got a large number of people vulnerable to the infection. So basically we make Great Britain smaller. You've got a smaller island with vulnerable people, and that's not... We want everyone to be safe. So we can't just rely on vaccination. We can't come out of lockdown too early and just abandon the rules, because we still have 3,800 positive cases in the last 24 hours, 383 people admitted to hospital, possibly many of them requiring ventilation. This is still a very nasty illness. And when I read in the papers people saying, oh, you know, we should just abandon lockdown and, you know, get back to normal life, they use figures that are based on the fact that the mortality rate is relatively low, but it's only low because of the excellent work the NHS have been doing,
so don't
keeping
take
us alive.
This removal of stay at home
absolutely
as it's time to have a free-for-all. There are still very clear rules in operation.
Yeah, I think, you know, we need to keep the infection rate down. If we still have... I think it's about 50 people per 100,000 who have got the infection. They're passing it on. The R rate is 0.7 to 0.9, so they're passing it on to lots of other people. We're going to get new variants emerging. Look what's going on in Spain, in Italy, in Germany, in France. They've got very high rates.
Yeah.
And we tend to follow what happens there. That's another lesson we need to learn, despite vaccination.
We know that Scottish schools went back sooner than the rest of the schools in the country, and we've seen a sort of a slight... I think we're seeing a slight increase in figures in Scotland, aren't we? Have we had any reaction to the other schools going back yet? Are we getting that data yet as to what's happened to
That data will certainly be coming in. It's a little early to tell
Still
yet.
too early for that.
That's why the government are saying we're going to wait 5 weeks between each step that's taken. We're going to base it on data rather than dates. So we hope that we'll be able to do this and this by April and May and June and July. But it depends on what happens. So we will be looking at what's happened in England with schools going back, and of course Northern Ireland, Wales as well, and Scotland, and making, you know, making decisions based on the data rather than guesswork.
Yeah. 30 million people in the UK have now had their first vaccine dose. Saturday saw 650,000 jabs administered.
It's amazing.
It's a triumph, isn't it? It really is.
So well organised. You know, everyone says that they go along to the vaccination centre. You know, it's done in a very orderly way. It's very quick. It's very safe. You know, and
You've had yours, haven't you, Richard?
I had mine, yeah. I was surprised because I'm just the other side of 50 and I thought it wasn't going to come. We were going to get delays and suddenly the text came from the doctors. And I think in our area we're lucky that they're just ahead of the game and when they get a Pfizer batch in, they know they've got to use it. So they start booking people in. So I was lucky I had it.
And we've got a third vaccine coming on
Moderna.
down the pipeline now. That's 17 million doses of Moderna.
Brilliant.
Possibly by April.